Fatima, a young, beautiful woman and the wife of Mohammed, was a churchgoer. She loved the church and had been praying fervently for the fruit of the womb, and she always took the advice of her pastor hook, line, and sinker. She believed he was a man of God and felt anything he told her she must obey. One day, Fatima had a dream where she was given two large bags to keep, and she told her pastor about the dream. Her pastor then told her not to accept any gift that it may come from the devil, and so she banned that dream. They also lived two beautiful sisters called Halima and Hawawu. Halima and Hawawu were abandoned as babies a few years ago. But Fatima's husband Mohammed, who was also a farmer, was returning home one day after a hard day's work when he heard the sound of a baby crying nearby. He was very curious and walked towards the cry, and Mohammed followed the cry until he caught sight of a baby laying in the bush paths. When Mohammed opened the basket, he saw two beautiful babies. They were girls. Mohammed was in shock as he wondered who could have left these babies here at this time. So Mohammed ran to the outer part of the farm to yell out very loud to see if the mother was close by, but nobody answered. Then he ran back into the farm still shocked and wondered what he would do with the babies. So he decided to take them home as his conscience would not allow him to leave the babies out here in the cold. He removed them from the basket and happily took the babies and then headed home. Once Muhammad got home, he rushed to show the babies to his wife Fatima, as his wife had not been able to conceive in the last 8 years of their marriage. She was looking for a child, and Muhammad thought she would be excited to see the twins. "God has finally blessed us with twins," said Muhammad in excitement as he approached his wife Fatima. But instead of being excited, remembering her pastor's advice about the two bags she saw in her dream, and here were two children, immediately Fatima was furious and asked Muhammad, her husband, to return the babies back to from where he took them from. Muhammad went on to explain how he came across the baby, but Fatima was not interested in his story. She insisted that the baby should be returned back into the bush from where he got them from. Muhammad did not believe that Fatima, his wife, would react in such a manner. He pleaded and pleaded for Fatima to allow the babies to live with them, but Fatima blatantly refused, and Muhammad said that he will keep the babies, thinking that in time she will accept the baby and change and begin to love these children. Muhammad decided to keep the babies, hoping that his wife will change one day. But this was not the case, as Fatima never took care of the twins, nor even cared about their well-being. Even when the baby would cry out of hunger, their cries did not move Fatima, as she believed they were not her responsibilities. So she did not care for the baby. She was never happy to see the twins, not minding they were little girls. Instead, she would abandon them and go to her church and begin to pray continuously for the fruit of the womb. Most times, the twins would starve until Muhammad returned home from his farm, and this went on for a very long time. A few years passed, and the twins were now 5 years old. Still, Fatima never cared for them. Even when they called her mother, she would scream at them that she wasn't their mother. She never gave them food nor cared for them. They only ate when Muhammad got home from his farm. One day, Hawawu fell terribly ill, and Muhammad had gone to the farm to get produce. Fatima did not care if Hawawu was sick or shivering. She did not care, and she let her lie on the floor on a mat without a care in the world. When Muhammad came back and saw Hawawu, he placed his hand on his head in anger, wondering why his wife Fatima was this cruel. Immediately, he quickly rushed Hawawu to the village herbalist for treatment. And when the herbalist saw her, he told Muhammad, had it been he had brought her a minute late, she would have passed on. And this broke Muhammad's heart, as he could not understand why his wife was so wicked to the twins. After some days of treatment, Hawawu got better and Mohammed was very happy and took her home. Fatima continued in her wicked ways. She never failed to remind the twins that they were abandoned by the bush path and that they were the cause of her misfortune. The twins asked Mohammed several times why their mother hated them so much, and this broke Mohammed's heart. He prayed that one day Fatima would accept the twins, but that seemed not to be working. Already, Fatima was already worried that she could not give birth to her own children, and it was now almost 15 years without children. And not having children began to affect her mental and physical state. So most times she was always in church. So she went to her pastor to complain about her barrenness, and he told her that the twins were responsible for her barrenness, and so she should do something about it. When she got home in her room, she placed her hand on her womb and got very angry that she was not with child. Remembering her pastor's words and believing what he had said, she decided to deal with the twins. Then one day, Fatima concocted an evil plan and rushed into the twins' room. She dragged them out of the house, saying, "You have brought bad luck into my house and you have to leave immediately." The twins were frightened by her action and began to cry. There was no one to save them, as Mohammed at this time had traveled to another town for 2 weeks to sell his produce in order to get more money to feed his family. And Fatima did not mind that she chased the twins away, not caring that they were young and that no one knew them in the village. But she decided to chase them away and told them never to return. When Muhammad returned, he asked for the twins, and Fatima lied to him that they ran away and she had looked everywhere for them and she did not see them. When he inquired further, she then snapped and shouted back at her husband Muhammad, "Am I the mother? Leave me alone." Muhammad was heartbroken, for he knew deep down in his heart that his wife Fatima had a hand in the disappearance of his adopted children. But he went on to look for them, but did not find them, and this made him so sad. And Fatima did not care if her husband Muhammad was sad about the twins. The twins, feeling lost, began to wander around from village to village in search of refuge. They walked for very long hours, moving from one village to one village, and stopped to rest under a tree because they were tired. But then a woman was walking across. Her name was Umma. Umma lived in the village, some 5 villages away from where the twins were coming from. And then she spotted them. Umma lived with her husband Buma and had not had any child in the last 4 years of her marriage. And so she had been hoping on God for a child to come her way. Umma saw the twins seated under the tree. She approached them and asked what they were doing all alone. The children began to cry, and Umma was very touched. She asked them where they were coming from and where they were going, and then the twins told her that they were thrown out of their house by their mother. Umma did not believe it, but she decided to show them some love. And then she noticed that they were hungry and tired. She offered to give them food if they would like to come with her to her house, and the twins were happy and followed Umma home. Umma treated them as if they were her own children and sold them the same style of clothes. They were happy together. They cooked together and did things together. Soon, not very long ago, after the twins had joined them, good things began to happen to Umma and her husband. Her husband's big business began to flourish. Umma became pregnant and eventually gave birth to twins. Umma and her husband were so happy. Umma's husband blessed the day his wife brought the twins home, for the twins had changed his life and his business. The twins were so happy living with Umma and her husband, and Umma called the twins her good luck charm and always made sure that the twins never lacked anything. One day, Fatima was walking back home from the market when she came across an old man And the old man greeted her and went on to say, "My daughter, why have you brought suffering upon your household by throwing away that which could have brought you good luck?" Fatima was confused as she asked the old man what he meant by his statement. But the old man smiled and went away. Fatima was so confused by this old man's statement, so she quickly rushed home and could not stop thinking about what he had said. "What did I throw away that is so valuable?" said Fatima. She was so confused and could not think of anything she had thrown away or lost in recent time. One night, when Fatima was asleep, she had a dream where she saw the twins handing her two boxes, but she refused to take the box from the twins. So the twins in the dream handed the box over to another woman, and the woman was heavily pregnant. When Fatima woke up, she quickly remembered what the old man had said to her earlier, and everything began to be clear. Tears started to run down her face. Fatima then confessed to her husband about what she did to the twins and what she saw in her dreams. She was in tears and she told him if he could come, let them go and search for the twins. But her husband was skeptical. Since she could have done something as harmful as this, what will she do when she see the twins? So he refused to follow her. But Umar begged and begged her husband, noting that all she wanted to do was to apologize to the twins, and so Mohammed obliged to take her to find the twins. So they began to search from village to village, asking everyone about their whereabouts, but they could not find the twins. Unknown to them, the twins lived 5 villages away from them. Months passed and still there was no sign of the twins. Fatima was now extremely worried and impatient. One afternoon, when Mohammed was on his way back from his usual trip to sell produce in another town, Halima and Hawawu spotted Mohammed and then ran quickly with their groceries that their mother sent them to buy, and they called his name. "Mohammed! Mohammed! Daddy!" Mohammed was surprised. And then he saw the twins. He was so happy that he could see them again. And then he asked what happened and they told him everything. He was sad that his wife could do this to them. So the twins took Mohammed to their new parents' house to see Umma and her husband. Mohammed could not help but thank them for giving these twins a good home. He then pleaded on behalf of his wife's behavior and promised that no harm will ever come to the twins again. And then he left. As Mohammed got home, he shared the good news with his wife Fatima. On hearing this, she was first shocked, and then she pleaded with her husband to accompany her to see the twins the next weekend. Mohammed was still skeptical about what his wife would do and then refused, but she continued to beg and beg until he yielded. And then he warned her not to do anything stupid. Morning came. Fatima and her husband set out to the neighboring town to see the twins. On getting there, they met Umar, who welcomed them into their home. Umar then turned to call the twins. And when the twins saw Fatima, they cringed in fear. Fatima, on seeing the children, started to shout, "You evil twins! You took my good luck and you gave it to this woman. Now the woman is pregnant instead of me. My pastor told me that you are evil twins and I'm going to make sure I deal with you both." Her husband Mohammed, the twins and Umar were shocked at the response of Fatima. Mohammed had not a clue that his wife would behave in such a manner, and so he was ashamed and surprised. Umar immediately stood up for her daughter and cautioned Fatima, saying, "My twin daughters are my good luck charm. You threw them away and you left them to die, yet I took them in. How can they be yours? When I met them, they were not in a very good state, and you are very wicked for leaving these children out there. But now they live with I and my husband, and there's nothing you can do about it." Fatima was very angry. She was very angry because she felt the good luck was taken from her and given to Umar, and so she decided to plunge over to see if she could reach the twins and deal with them. And then Umar's husband stepped out and then pointed to the door and asked Fatima and her husband to leave their premises, for he was so disappointed in their actions. As they stepped out of the door, they met the queen, and the queen simply said, "I am here for my girls. I had sent guards to go and search for them many years ago. They traced them to this wicked woman's house and then to your house." And then the queen thanked Umar. Umar was so surprised and shocked to see the queen, including Fatima. And then the queen turned to Fatima and her husband and told them that they were very wicked human beings to have done what they did to the twins. The twin then came out to apologize on Muhammad's behalf and told the queen that if not for Muhammad, they would have died a long time ago, and Muhammad had no hand in whatever was going on. And then the queen apologized and then turned to Fatima and said, "No wonder the gods can never give you children, for you are very wicked deep down within you. Instead of you to have taken care of another man's child, knowing that God will still bless you, but you decided to be wicked." Fatima was ashamed of herself, and the queen then brought 2 bags of gold and gave it to Umar and told her to spend it as she wished, for that was her gift and reward. But Umar refused and said, "These children are not for sale. I took them as my own and I will continue to do so. All I ask is for me to be close to these children." And then the queen said, "I'm going to make you the royal caretaker of these children. Would you like to accept and come and live in the palace, you and your husband?" Umar was overjoyed and agreed to the deal. She and the twins would forever remain close, even if now they are now the princess of the village. Fatima was furious, jealous, and regretful, wishing that she was the one who was in Umar's shoe. By now, who knows how many children she would have gotten, thought Fatima. Mohammed was not happy with his wife, and so when they got home, he decided to pack all his load and go and start life all anew, leaving Fatima alone in that house and leaving her with her wicked ways. Muhammad then went on to start life all over again. He could still visit the twins, and the twins and Umar and her husband live happily ever after.